We, the people of South Africa, recognize the injustices of our past, honor those who have suffered for justice and freedom in our land, respect those who have worked to build and develop our country, and believe that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, united in our diversity. We therefore, through our freely elected representatives, adopt this constitution as the supreme law of the Republic so as to heal the divisions of the past and establish a society based on democratic values, social justice, and fundamental human rights. Lay the foundations for a democratic and open society in which government is based on the will of the people and every citizen is equally protected by law, and to improve the quality of life of all citizens and free the potential of each person, and build a united and democratic South Africa able to take its rightful place as a sovereign state in the family of nations. May God protect our people. Inkosi isikelele iAfrika. God bless South Africa. Hosi yikatekisa Afrika. Hello everyone, my name is Vunene Mutarini, and welcome to A Story State, a podcast I'll be publishing every week, focusing on what it is supposed to be and what currently is the nature and state of our beloved Republic of South Africa. I'll be the first to admit that there's a lot that is wrong, so as a result, most of this is just going to be me complaining. But I promise you, I will actively seek out good information so as to not depress you as the audience or not to drain myself, seeing as this is going to be quite the project. So, for the first episode, I just wanted to take bits of our constitution and bring them to attention, as I'll be referring to them quite a lot, because our constitution is quite literally one of the best in the world. It's insanely comprehensive, so I wanted to use that comprehensive document to make sure that we use it as a foundation for us moving forward. Because the reality is that it's sad when you look at just how comprehensive our laws and constitution are, and you look at where we are right now as a state. It's an insult to all those who came together to write this thing. It's an insult to those who fought for us, and it's quite literally a spit in the face of the tens of millions of South Africans. I mean, of course, by and large, the sorry state is a result of the current government's failings. That is really a shame when you think about it, because there is a lot of potential that is just being allowed to lie dormant. That's sad. That's it. So, I don't know how much of this will actually get you thinking and engaging, but I hope quite a lot of it. I just want you to always be cognizant of the current failings so that you can actively look at what role we can potentially all play. Because if you are listening to this, I'd like to think that you are affected just as much as I am. Because I mean, let's face it, if we only blame the ANC, that's the cop-out answer. I mean, we are where we are right now due in large part to those pathetic idiots. But I feel like there is more to the problem than what just appears. So before we can really get to change anything, we ought to fully understand the problem, then we can actively try to affect some sort of changes. All of us, we are all responsible. We may not have been responsible for the failings, but we are where we are now, and no one is coming to save us. So it's all on us to make some sort of difference. I mean, come on, the general consensus is out. The jury is done. They have deliberated. We know that the current leadership is just a group of old, like pathetic relics who have less than a tenuous grasp on reality, let alone the state that we are in now, right now, as a country. But then what? What then? Because we can't just leave it at that and then complain a lot more. I mean, we can, but what does that do for us? Where does that take us? You know what I mean? So, this is a platform that I want all of us to engage and see what we can actually do. If there is something we can do. But I believe that there is something we can do, all of us. Outside of the obvious, obviously, like voting, using your freedom of speech to say whatever, going out in the street but not destroying property, all of those things. I feel like there are things that we can do. However, the things that we actually can't do anything about, that's where we need to find ways to change those laws that prevent such things from happening. So, like Daenerys Targaryen said when she arrived at Dragonstone, shall we begin? So, for the first 1.5-ish minute of this recording, I was reading out the preamble of our Constitution. As I mentioned a few moments ago, that I wanted to use it as a foundation for most of what I want us to achieve. There's a lot that we'll come back to and unpack, but I just wanted to highlight a couple of things on that. There's a bit there that said that every citizen is protected equally by law. There's also another bit that says that one of the goals of the Constitution was to improve the quality of life of all citizens and free the potential in each and every one of them. Because I feel like we are living in something like an animal farm here. It is claimed that all animals are equal, but some are less equal than others. And there's nowhere where I feel like those two things are more evident than our current state right now. Because if this thing claims that it wanted to protect every citizen equally, but then you look around, you don't even have to think much, you just look at it and like, absolutely not. I mean, there is no convincing that graduate with their fancy degree who can not find a job because our government is not doing enough, amongst other things, that they are somehow equal to the senior citizen whose only credential, realistically speaking, are that they carried a water bottle for the guy who was standing next to the guy who was holding an umbrella, for Nelson Mandela when he made a speech somewhere in Lusikisiki in 1997, or some place in the northwest called Klerksdorp or whatever, one of those made-up names like your Boksburg or Kuruman. I mean, I implore you to try and explain to me, in the 62 odd million South Africans, how a guy being photographed looting a basket is somehow going to end up in prison, or is going to be sentenced, when there's a person, or people rather, who continuously steal hundreds of millions of rands that are supposed to help hundreds and thousands and millions of people. I mean, where is the equality in that? I mean, you just look at that, you can see that the equality that is being spoken of is just hogwash. I mean, I'm trying to convince the 33% of of the population that is unemployed, almost 8 million of unemployed people. I try to tell them that they're somehow as equal as these ministers or whatever cadres who keep losing a job because they messed that portfolio up, and then get another one right after that, and then another one. None of it is connected. Everywhere they go, they just leave an even worse mess than they found. Is there equality in that? Are you telling me that everyone's potential is being thought of, is being considered? Please, I need all of us to take a second to just be for real. For all our sakes, I think we need to be for real. There is no way that's an actual thing that we can claim is happening in our country. You see it all the time, man. You see it all the time, and these people are supposed to be servants of the people. So I just need us to be serious for a second. So for now, I just wanted us to have an idea of what I'll be bringing forth every week. I don't want to jump the gun, but ideally, I would love to make this a twice per week situation, because there's a lot that we need to unpack, you guys. I feel like having to wait a week for us to complain is probably not even healthy for us. So, but let's not jump the gun. We'll see what happens. But before we continue though, can I just take an ad break? I once saw the most brilliant advertising techniques, one of the most brilliant, because it was very, very simple. The Grand Tour trio, formerly of Top Gear, Jeremy Clarkson and co, in their new track on the new show, they had a corner in their new track that they titled Your Name Here Corner. That corner, they called it that specifically because they wanted to use it as an advertising platform. I just thought it was so brilliant because they just put up a board and they just said it's your name here, and then every day anyone can just come in and advertise whatever they wanted. I just found it so brilliant. I loved it so much. If you know Jeremy Clarkson, you should know how you can imagine how he delivered that. It was so brilliant. So, I mean, I'm not saying this is the portion of the podcast where you should do that, but I'm just saying that it was a very funny bit, and the delivery was 10 out of 10. What I am saying though is, do with that information what you will. I'm just saying. Anyway, one last thing before I go. There's another document that kept ringing in my head. It's very similar to ours. That the passage just couldn't leave my head. It's quite a dense passage, but bear with me. This particular passage is from the Declaration of Independence of the United States of America. And it reads thus: we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I'm sure from there you can already see why this is somewhat similar to ours. He goes on to say that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principle and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. This is brilliant because I feel like it's exactly what I want us to push towards, because this thing is right. We consent to being governed by any single one, any single organization. We consent to that. And I like the bit where it says that if this government becomes destructive to those ends, meaning if it somehow impairs now on our life, our right to life, our freedom of whatever, to pursue whatever happiness that we want. If it gets in the way of that, then we have a right to change it. We must abolish it, actually. It uses a very strong word. We must abolish it. So, and then it goes on to say that prudence, which is the ability to govern and discipline oneself by use of discipline, indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. This one specifically acknowledges that some things, they don't need drastic changes. You sometimes have to look at what it is that's at hand and how much of it can be changed or should be changed. It goes on to say that, and accordingly, all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. And again, we've just been cruising along, just droning along, just like, okay, it is what it is. Okay, fair. Things happen. We have just been going along with a lot because it was still sufferable. But then it goes on to say one of my favorite bits from this whole thing, where it says that, but when a long train of abuses and deceptions, pursuing invariably the same object, invests a design to reduce them under disposition, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. I mean, we have suffered it enough. Guys, we've suffered it enough. It's not even funny. It's ridiculous that we've just gotten accustomed to going around roads that are just so bad. We complain about not having enough electricity, because what do you even mean that in winter we have to pass electricity around like a blunt, escape, puff, pass? Like, what's the logic there? You see what I'm saying? And then sometimes we complain that we have too much electricity, because now it becomes suspicious when you get used to one thing, when you get other things, and just like, that's very dodgy. If we do have electricity, then chances are we won't have water. So you see, like, things like that is just like, guys, let's be serious. It's enough. Like, something has to be done. As a friend of mine would say, there is what to be done, and there's a lot of that what to be done here. So it's a lot. I know all of this is a lot. I may be asking for too much, but I don't think so, because I think we've all suffered equally and we all want to do something about this, or at least believe that something should be done, even if it's not us who's doing something. But my thing is, I need all of us to try to do something, because that's the best way we can get these relics out of here, because they have to be. Now, that's all I wanted to say for today, because this is an introduction. We'll get to the meat of things very soon. For now, let's just go with this, and then we'll see what happens next week. I'm so excited for you guys to see what happens next week. If you enjoy this, I'm willing to believe that next week you will be glued to your whatever device you'll be using for the best part of an hour, just following and hopefully engaging right after. So yeah, that's it really. Why this? Why now? I don't really know, but I just want to bank on the fact that I think most of us are tired enough that we want to change things. Is it a bit egotistical that I think personally I can make a difference? Absolutely. But that's exactly the point of this. I don't want this to be about me. I'm not the product here. I am not in any way the center of this. I'm just a middleman to connect you with your emotions and information that you know or don't know, so we can actually move forward one way or another. That's all I want to do. I don't want to be the product. This is the product. So the attention is going to be on this. What I do have is just the audacity of hope. I 100% believe in the audacity of hope. And I am hopeful. I'm hopeful that one of us will do something. And then I'm hopeful that that one will encourage others to do something. I am hopeful that if anything, when we band together, the differences will be vast. If we band together, our voices are just going to be too loud to be ignored. So I am very optimistic. I have all the hope in the world that this is going to make a difference because we are going to do this together. I have no doubt in my mind. Now, I never thought I would say this, but here we go. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share this with as many people as possible. And let's see where we can get, man. Let's get into some trouble. Let's ruffle some feathers. Let's do something about all these things. There's a lot that is wrong, and there's a lot that we are all interested in. As a result, there's a lot that we can actually do. So, yeah. If you want a more formal approach, I'll attach my email there. But for those who are listening, the email is statevunene@gmail.com. I'll spell it out for you. It's statevunene@gmail.com. That's it really for the introduction. See you guys next time. Yeah. Hosi ayikatekisi Afrika zonke. Cheers guys. Bye.